Good day, everyone. For those of you watching, whether you're a dedicated member of our global tribe of peace tenders, part of the larger Earthwalk community, or simply a fellow citizen of this beautiful planet we share, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Sadiq Hanachash. I am the founder of Earthwalk and the host for today's interview. In a moment, I will have the distinct privilege of introducing our guest to you. But before I do, I'm going to share a bit about what today's broadcast is about. As some of you might know, today is the full moon, one of the 33 days each year that Earthwalk has designated as a time to come together across the globe to celebrate our interconnectedness and global unity, as a part of our vision to help create a global culture of peace. We celebrate our common unity through what we call global unity moments on solstices, equinoxes, cross-quarter days, new moons, and full moons as a way to connect the people of this earth to the natural seasons and cycles that we all share, no matter where we happen to be on this earth. So, as the moon comes into its fullness today, something we all share, no matter where on earth we happen to be, I would like to introduce someone who Earthwalk is recognizing for living a very, very, very full, spectacular, and magical life, whose example of how to walk this earth is just like that moon. From my perspective, glowing with really true deep radiance. His name is Sage Lee, and I think we can all see him on the screen right now. I'd like to welcome Sage formally to this interview. How are you doing today, Sage?
Hi, Sadiq. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I am excited to be here with you today. I mean, both to have this interview with you and also to spend time, as the audience doesn't know, but we've known each other for almost a decade now, and really excited to spend this time with you today.
So, yeah, me too.
Yeah. Before I say more about Sage here, I want to say a little bit more about why we are recognizing it. Starting today, on what's actually, from what I understand, is the super blood wolf moon. It's actually a trifecta that's happening this evening around 9:41 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, so 11:41 p.m. for the Eastern coasters. It's where the moon is closest to us. It's also going to be an eclipse this evening, causing the red moon. And the wolf moon, as an interesting fact, is the first moon of the year. And so that's just for a fun piece of trivia. And so starting today, we'll be selecting a member of our global tribe, which Sage is, each month to recognize on the full moon for how we see them showing up in the world as a model for how to create a global culture of peace. Tribe 333, in short, is about teaching people how to consciously connect with the three arenas of life that we see as the foundation to creating the global culture of peace we are speaking about, while connecting them with a global network to support them along their path of peace. To learn more about that, you can visit our website at earthwalkunited.org/tribe333. What I want to say to that is it's a really big honor to receive this recognition. We have a growing tribe, and when our team takes time to think about who it is that we want to honor, we really look at how we see them living their lives. Are they dedicating themselves to living in health with themselves, in health with their communities, in health with their planet? And when we sat and had that conversation, Sage was the person who came really to the top of the list. And for many, many reasons that we won't be able to really go into our conversation today, but I want to mark that. I want to say that. So there was a really distinct reason why we chose sage to be our first. So without further ado, let's kind of dive in a little bit. If you want to know more about Sage and some of the gifts that he has to offer, you can go ahead and click the link that you found this video on that goes into a spread. We sent a format out to Sage to share a lot of his pearls of wisdom and what he's doing in the world. So you can click on that and find out more. So with that, where shall we begin, Sage?
Well, I don't know. I think beginning with just an acknowledgement back at you for the tireless work that you've done toward creating a culture of world peace for not just the last decade, but for really your entire life. And to recognize that any good that we have is always for the greatest good of all. And I think, I know you're going to ask me in a little bit about a couple of my answers, which for better or for worse might have sounded a little cheeky, because I really think that we, in this culture, we really need to kind of stop thinking of ourselves as individuals and only see ourselves as part of a group, and recognize that any good that we do is good that is for the whole, the entire group that we're a part of, which is not only the human race, but the race of animals, plants, and minerals on this kingdom, and the great web of life that pervades our entire universe.
In Earthwalk speak, as you know, I couldn't agree with you more. In Earthwalk speak, what you're talking about is the fourth pillar of integrative planetary wellness, which is integral health and wellness. And that you've got personal, social, environmental, but until we learn how to weave all of us together as one and move beyond that separateness, peace is nearly impossible. And it's one of my favorites. And and that's actually why we, I think you were part of this creation process when we did this and creating the name for Tribe 333. The reason we don't just call it Tribe 3 for personal, social, and environmental is that there's an integration process that needs to happen where we dissolve our soul dedication to any of those arenas and learn how to integrate all of them together. So that's the 333 represents the secretive process, or the more subtle, or think that which you can't see as well. The fourth pillar, which is integral health and wellness. And I share that intention, and and then I think that's that Earthwalk does as well, as far as how do we learn how to take care of ourselves, our community, and planet, but then how do we dissolve them all together?
Yeah. I mean, from the point of view of the ego, freedom means doing what you want when you want to do it. But from the point of view of the spirit, freedom is wanting what the universe wants. And so just setting the ego aside completely and forgetting about what it is that you want, but looking at what's in front of you in this moment.
Yeah, when I read the questionnaire that you filled out for member recognition, I read that piece that you wrote about that really spoke about what you identified as true freedom, and really allowing the will of the universe to speak through, and it's reminding me of something that Osho said, which is true freedom comes from complete submission.
Yeah, it's a difficult concept, and it comes from, I think, another thing that I've mentioned to you more than once, it comes from this notion that that we somehow have to accomplish all of these things in our lives. That we have to make some big dream come true or have a great ambition. And sometimes, just taking on someone's pain for an afternoon, or being a good mom or dad, or just being a good neighbor, mowing your neighbor's grass who can't get out and do it herself, just simple acts of compassion will often be all that needs to happen for you to feel like you have led an accomplished life. And it's not the way that we get taught, is it? We get taught that, you're supposed to make a lot of money, and you're supposed to, be ambitious and have more and better than your neighbors. And those are all just shallow ego gratifications. When really, when they've studied happiness, they found that most people are happier when they're doing something for someone else. Odd, that.
Why do you think that is?
I think that one of the reasons is because it's an illusion that we are separate individuals. We're not separate, and somehow we know that in our heart of hearts. One of the most persistent illusions that we have is that we are separate from the rest of the universe. And another persistent illusion that we have is that we're the intelligent ones, and that somehow we're in this dumb universe. And what we fail to recognize is that we're intelligent, and sometimes questionably so, but intelligent expressions of an intelligent universe. The intelligence doesn't come from us; it comes from the universe and from the earth that begat us. Right? If you ever read the Bible, there were all those begats. Well, ultimately, the ultimate begatter is the universe itself.
Yeah, we're all children of that same one thing.
Yeah, and I sort of make light of the individual, but I think there is some work to do there in the plane of the self, right? And mostly that work has to do with taking oneself apart.
And what would you say, like, at the core? What would you say that looks like as far as taking oneself apart at the core?
I think it means going down whatever path you need to go down in order to have awareness of yourself, to have humility, to have awareness of where you are on the planet. Like when you really begin this taking the self apart work, it can often be really scary, because suddenly you realize there is no me. And if there's no me, then what is there? What do I hang my hat on? What do I put my hat on? Right? If it's not a me. But there's a gentleman at the turn of the last century named Charles Fort, whose day job was to go through every article, book, and newspaper and magazine article written in the last 100 years and find all kind of the news of the weird. And what he discovered was that most everything falls outside the boundaries of what we consider normal, and that very little is actually normal. I mean, as documented by the newspapers of the day. And what he said is that if there are other entities right? Because we know the universe is intelligent, right? There doesn't have to be any other beings like us, no matter what you learned from Star Trek. It's probably not going to be uh, people that look like Hollywood actors with antennas sticking out of their heads. Um, what you might notice if you were an intelligent creature is a slight change in the electromagnetic field in this portion of the universe. And in that slight change in the electromagnetic field of the entire universe is everything that we know of as life itself. Right? It's very subtle. It's very distinctively subtle. So sorry, I let us out onto the ledge, didn't I?
Well, I was curious, I was curious if there was where you were going with that. Like, so what about, so you started with the concept of that there's this thought in predominant culture that we're the smart ones living in a dumb universe. And then, in there's this challenge, like maybe that's not actually the case, which I agree with you on that. I think like we are outcroppings of this really intelligent universe. We're one particular form of intelligence of that intelligence, like of all life. And then started going into the conversation of how that might manifest throughout this grand cosmos. And so I'm curious, was there a place that you were wanting to bring up?
Well, I think that yes. So if there is that little difference, when you look at it in the big sense, why do the stakes feel so high for us? Why do the stakes feel so high for us to make peace, to quote save our planet? And by the way, our planet will be fine. We're the ones that won't be fine, right? The Earth will simply shake us off like a head cold, and then go about our business. The danger is not to the Earth itself. The danger is to us. And so the reason I believe that it is so important is that, and suspend your disbelief here for just a moment, is that think of the Earth as a kind of spiritual hospital. And the work that we have to do is spiritual work that the humans, people who are embodied as humans on this planet, need to do for themselves. And we, if you believe anything from the Western scriptures, the Torah and what's commonly called the Old Testament, we were given stewardship over the earth. And that's a serious deal, right? And we need to take care of our stuff in order to have proper stewardship. We do need to take care of the animals and the plants and the atmosphere and even the ice shelves in Antarctica. We need to do our best to have good stewardship of the planet. And in order to have good stewardship of the planet, we need to have good stewardship of ourselves. We need to have the Constitution to be able to take ourselves apart. And we need to have the Constitution to be able to negotiate with others and to have leadership where it's appropriate, and to take the back seat where it's appropriate and follow where appropriate. There's a hexagram in the I Ching that says in part, if you're not going to be a leader, be a good follower. And so these are the three areas of Tribe 333: the self, others, and the planet, that all need to be dealt with in order for us to satisfy our charge that's been given to us for stewardship of this planet.
Yeah, totally agree. I think,
Did I bring it home for you?
yeah, well, it's like regardless of what I'm hearing, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, but regardless of who we think we are in the cosmos, whether we're these grand intelligent beings, above others or what have you, um, at the end of the day, that perspective seems, from what I'm hearing from you, to matter less than to how we choose to tend to the relationship that we have with, our unique self, like with our unique communities and with the unique planet that we're on. That it like, what are we choosing to value? Is sort of like what I'm hearing in what you're saying. Is that like, are we resting? Let's go back to what you were saying for, like, what are we resting our hat on? Are we resting our hat on this quality of our intelligence, or on this quality of like our supreme X, Y, and Z? Or are we resting our hat on what I'm hearing, and tell me if you think I'm missing you, is resting our hat on love, on our capacity to care, on our capacity, and then to apply that to, what we identify as ourself, what we identify as our communities, and what we identify as this this care station, if you will, this hospital that you were mentioning.
Yeah, it's a hospital of love, right? I mean,
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
you got me exactly. And I didn't actually mention that particular four-letter word, but I was reading something on the web the other day about a woman saying when love isn't enough. And my response to that was, well, love is always enough, but love is always misunderstood, because love is not the stardust that we feel when we, fall in air quotes, fall in love with another human. It's something more powerful. I've often talked to people who channel angels, and I distrust them if they aren't in agreement with me that angels are actually terrifying creatures, because they're beyond our concept of good and evil. Right? They're in terms of what's going on in the universe, we are so unaware, right? Like our little intuitions will tell us, well, this seems interesting. This, like, synchronicities are happening, or whatever, and people forget that it is our job to plan things, right? And let's hope that we're planning things that are for the greatest good of all. That's what I'm always hoping, is that I'm planning whatever I'm doing, even if it seems like it's for myself, that it's for the greatest good of all. And I try to open up that particular page and see if I can check off whatever I'm doing in the moment, to see, is what I'm doing right now, or eventually for the greatest good of all. Right? I just spent 2.5 years building a house to move into that's a third the size of the house that I moved out of. And I did it in part because I can have a smaller carbon footprint on the planet. I can have a smaller, just plain energetic footprint on the planet, and I can actually plant trees here that will literally, take in carbon dioxide. So, I could say, all right, in the balance of things, yes, what I'm doing is for the greatest good of all. And whether it's for carbon footprint, or for ending world hunger, or for like, I think the seed bank in Svalbard is a project that is a project for the greatest good of all, because they're saving heirloom seeds from around the world in a place where they will be safe. But you can actually do something in your own home. You don't have to start the Svalbard seed bank. You can actually just plant sunflowers that hummingbirds will, or you can plant anything that hummingbirds will come and eat, or you can plant flowers that honeybees will appreciate. You know, that there are just tiny little things that you can do depending on your interests, right? You don't have to head up a world-changing project to make a difference.
Totally. I think in what you're saying is really deep and great wisdom. I think a lot of people feel that to change the world, it needs to be this grand thing, and usually which is informed on my mom told me this, my community told me that, I read this here, and therefore I should do this, rather than like, you know, what actually feels good in this moment, like what would feel kinder, and not informed off of trying to get this type of recognition, or to get this type of financial honor or social honor or what have you. But really, you know, what, you know, I think Mary Oliver talks about is like, what really evokes that silent voice, that place of connection. So I'm gonna quick
and the world's greatest activists have not taken up activism because they think it's going to make them money or bring them fame. The world's greatest activists have taken up what they've done because they've been personally affected by something. The greatest ocean pollution activist in the Philippines, who was just invited to the United States to meet with the very corporations that he's been agitating against, started this because he took a boat ride from the remote island in the Philippines where he lived to Manila, and saw that the ship was floating in an ocean of plastic, and he was like, I can't tolerate this. I can't imagine I can't imagine a world where this is okay. And he just started his work at that point, and he did all sorts of things that you might say failed. And this is another, I think, lesson for anyone who's trying to make change, is that first of all, you have to realize that our job as human beings is to plan things, and the universe's job is to do, right? Because the universe is the complete embodiment of the trickster, right? You know, we plan something and then something happens, but it is rarely the thing that we actually planned. And people who are successful and happy are always people who, when they see what the universe has actually accomplished for them based on their plan, they are grateful for the thing that exists, and they move from there. And the people that are unhappy feel like their plan is foiled, and they don't actually see the gift that's right in front of them that the universe actually has delivered. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. It's actually reminding me of one of the pieces that you shared again in your questionnaire, which was speaking to one of the things that Earthwalk likes to encourage, is for people to get in touch with what are the things that inspire them, as far as archetypes and plants, animals, colors, different things that sort of we might, let's say when you look at different superheroes or what have you, they tend to have certain colors that are prescribed to them, or certain animals that are associated with them. You know, you've got Catwoman, Batman, like those sort of things. And so we asked you the question, like, you know, what is your superpower? What archetypes do you draw upon? And I was very I was surprised and appreciated your response. And I say surprised because one of the things that I know that this audience doesn't know is that you are the creator of a tarot card deck, and which deals with um, archetypes and how do we relate to archetypes in our life, and how do we really make magic in our life as a result of being in healthy relationship to archetypes. And your response to this was, my superpower and the superpower of everyone alive is to be human. Being a human is simply it. It might be a naked human. We can receive inspiration from the animal, vegetable, and mineral realms, but ultimately, our greatest power is love and expressing that love as a human. And so it's just reminding me, like, one of the things that I've been really appreciating about you is that we can have all these grand things, but that at the end of the day, kind of using your languaging, like, what are we resting our hat on? What are we willing um, to end our day with? Does it have to be on the superpower, or just simply the mere gift of the fact that we've been given this beautiful existence and this, what you're saying, this greatest power of love? And that's what I'm really hearing and seeing as I've been reading the different things that you've shared with us and knowing you throughout the while. And so, yeah, I'm curious, like, what would you say, if you were to boil it down, sort of really brought you to that place of saying it's really not about the superpowers, it's about being human, and what I'm hearing in that,
Mm.
what is that?
Well, I knew you were going to ask me this question, and I deliberately didn't have a pre-prepared answer for it. And so now I have to really consider it in the moment that you asked it. And here's what's occurring to me in this moment is that, like, being human is not being a superhero, right? We have our superhero moments. The mom, gets super strength and lifts the car off of her 10-year-old boy who's trapped under the car. Everybody has these superpower moments, but really what it comes down to is that we are our good sides and our so-called bad sides. We're our shadow and light parts, and we are asked, I think, by the universe to show up in all of that. And it relates back to something else that I had mentioned in that form that I filled out, which is that my whole life and art and everything that I've done is about wholeness, and wholeness as a human. So my art, while it wasn't always about beauty. Sometimes there was extreme moments of beauty, but there were also extreme moments of sadness, and there were also extreme moments of difficulty, and watching things that were difficult to watch, and it was because those things were missing from the experience, right? We're here to have an experience of wholeness. And if you believe in reincarnation, it might be that we reincarnate over and over again in order to receive the wholeness, because we block the wholeness from a lifetime when we could have it. And it's not easy work. It's not easy work, but I think it's work that is rewarding. And for us all to go toward wholeness, sometimes wholeness means, I don't know how to make money, or I don't recognize that the universe is actually providing my needs for me.
Sure.
And that does not mean that there's no such thing as poverty uh, or hardship. But there are blessings everywhere. And I think one of the other things I told you earlier in the call about, they've done studies about people and happiness and what makes people happy. So I just lost my train of thought. Oh, well, this happens with a wizard sometimes. It was time. I think sometimes it happens when I'm not supposed to say something. So
Mm-hmm.
there you go. That mystery will be unplumbed for the moment.
But to speak to that piece of wholeness really quickly, and then we're gonna have to close for today. But one of the things that I like talking about a lot when Earthwalk is talking about how we're building this global culture of peace, I referenced the lineage that I was born from as far as the Jewish lineage, and the Hebrew language, the word for peace, shalom, it comes from the root, which is lishalem, which means to make whole or to make complete. That is the groundwork of what Earthwalk really is very much all about, is like, how do we live lives of peace? How do we live lives of integration? How do we not just cling to this moment or to this identity or to this community or to this, but like, how do we really allow ourselves to merge into the wholeness of life, and then experience a much greater identification, a much greater reality. And so with that, is there any last thing that you want to say to the tribe?
Well, I would like to say that I'm loving living in my new place, and if you're curious about my tarot deck, I'll just make sure that there's a link from the link that you have that leads to my site where people can look at the cards and maybe order the deck if they'd like it.
Yeah, what's the name of your deck?
It's called the Sage Tarot Deck.
The Sage Tarot Deck.
Yes.
And what is the website for that?
It is theschoolforwizards.com.
Theschoolforwizards.com. Awesome. And a wizard you are. So
it's been lovely talking to you, Zadik. I really enjoyed it.
Likewise. Thank you for taking the time, especially in this major transition for you, moving from one house to the next. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate we appreciate really that space. I know it's not in those sorts of times. So so thank you. And this my blessing I want to kind of give to you as we part is, may you continue to be the gift that you are.
Thank you. Yeah. Walk in peace, Sadiq.
Yeah, thank you. And for all those who are watching, if you want to learn more again about our global tribe of peace tenders called Tribe 33, or desire to become a member, like Sage, like myself, and like many others, and our growing community, desire to become a member and support our movement to create a global culture of peace. Again, as mentioned earlier on in the video, please visit our website, earthwalkunited.org/tribe3333. And we're going to go ahead and close with one quick piece of trivia, which is the moon is full no matter where you happen to be on this earth while looking at it. It's a part of why Earthwalk has chosen to use the lunar cycles as a global unifying factor. So whether you're in Australia or you're in Tokyo, you're in Chile, no matter where one happens to be on the earth, we're all seeing the same phase of the moon. So may we enjoy the night of fullness together as we collectively breathe into a vision of a world united within a global culture of peace. Blessings to all of you. Sage, blessings to you. Love you. It's been an honor and pleasure being with you here today. And yeah, thanks for being you.
I love you. Ciao for now.